The Texas sun blazed mercilessly, turning the Sweetwater auction grounds into a dust-choked arena where fortunes and legacies collided. Beneath the bleachers, Jethro Kane stood motionless, a ghost in a faded Stetson and boots, worn thin by decades of regret. His calloused hands, once celebrated for gentling the wildest quarter horses, now hung limp at his sides. But today, the air tasted different. Sharp, metallic, like the moment before a lightning strike. At the heart of the chaos stood Thunder Ray, a stallion with a coat like charred oak and eyes that held the stillness of a predator. Auction goers circled him, hungry for a trophy, but the horse's gaze never wavered from the man in the spotless white shirt. Clifford Kennedy, oil tycoon, collector of beautiful things, and a man who'd never met a creature he couldn't dominate. "Look at this overpriced show pony," Clifford drawled, flashing cameras a grin as he raised his hand. The crowd chuckled on cue, until his palm cracked against Thunder Ray's neck. The sound ricocheted through the arena like a whip. Silence fell. Thunder Ray didn't flinch, didn't rear. He simply turned his massive head, locking eyes with Clifford in a stare that froze the blood in every onlooker's veins. It wasn't fear in those depths. It was calculation, a challenge. Jethro's breath hitched. He'd seen that look before. The arena's silence shattered as Clifford Kennedy forced a laugh, the sound brittle as splintering wood. "Y'all act like you've never seen a horse respect its betters," he jeered. But the crowd's answering murmur was thin, uneasy. Thunder Ray's unblinking stare had carved a fault line through the dusty air, one that even Clifford's money couldn't paper over. Jethro turned away, boots crunching gravel as he retreated to the shadow of the stables. His hands trembled, not from fear, but memory. Rain lashed his mind, sudden and cold. Flashback. A younger Jethro soaked to the bone, screaming Cassidy's name as flames devoured the barn. Her panicked whinnies. The gate swinging loose in the storm. He pressed a palm to the stable wall, steadying himself. Inside the auction office, Winona Hale spread Thunder Ray's paperwork beneath a flickering desk lamp. The file reeked of ink and lies. Breeder, Red Oak Farm, Oklahoma. She'd called the number 3 times. Disconnected. Her finger paused on a smudged line in the margin. Sire Whispering Ember. A name buried in a 20-year-old obituary. Cassidy's lost foal. Her breath caught. This wasn't a bloodline. It was a resurrection. Clifford's lawyers materialized at dawn, crisp suits stark against the parched earth. "The horse is legally ours," one declared, thrusting papers at Winona. Kennedy bought the registration. The emotions of small-town melodrama don't override contract law. Thunder Ray, sensing the shift, paced his stall, hoofs striking iron in a staccato warning. Alden cornered Jethro by the rusted water trough, his voice low. "You know what that horse is, who he is." Jethro spun, fist clenched. "Cassidy's dead. You made sure I never forgot." Alden flinched. "I tried to protect him. After the fire, the foal survived. I sent him away to keep him safe from you," he didn't say. "From your grief." Thunder Ray reared as Clifford approached his stall, nostrils flaring at the scent of cologne and ambition. "Easy, Prince," Clifford sneered, snapping a lead rope. The stallion lunged, teeth bared, missing flesh by inches. Clifford stumbled back, dignity crumbling. "You're mine," he hissed. "Even if I have to break you." As dusk bled into night, Jethro stood at Thunder Ray's stall, a DNA swab kit trembling in his hand. The stallion pressed his forehead to the bars, breath fogging the steel, a mirror of Cassidy's final nuzzle. Outside, Clifford's SUV spat gravel as it left. "I'll see you in court," he'd snarled. But Jethro barely heard. One question clawed at him now, louder than any legal threat. If Thunder Ray was Cassidy's blood, did that make him family, or a funeral pyre's last ember? Courtroom fans whirred like tired ghosts, doing little to cut the Texas heat seeping through the courthouse walls. Jethro sat stiffly in a borrowed suit, the DNA envelope burning a hole in his pocket. Across the aisle, Clifford smirked at his lawyers, sharp men in sharper suits, while Thunder Ray waited outside in a government trailer, his fate reduced to ink and arguments. The judge adjusted her glasses, voice dry as the plains. "Mr. Kane, present your evidence." Jethro stood, fingers trembling as he tore the envelope. Flashback, Cassidy's muzzle nuzzling his palm, her warmth against his cheek. The lab report shook in his hands. 99.7% maternal match to Cassidy's ember. His throat tightened. "He's her son," Jethro rasped. "Her blood," Clifford's lawyer scoffed. "A horse can't inherit sentiment. Ownership is legal, not emotional." Thunder Ray's sudden whinny pierced the room, a sound raw with recognition. Outside, Clifford approached the trailer, gripped tight on a leather lead. "Time to go, Prince." Thunder Ray balked, hooves slamming metal. Clifford yanked the rope. "Move." Flashback, Cassidy rearing as flames engulfed her stall. Jethro's screams lost to thunder. Thunder Ray reared now, towering over Clifford, eyes blazing. The crowd gasped. Jethro burst through the courthouse doors, voice cracking. "Enough!" The stallion froze, ears swiveling toward him. Slowly, deliberately, Thunder Ray lowered his head and stepped toward Jethro, nuzzling his chest. Clifford's laugh was brittle. "Tricks won't change the law." Alden stood abruptly in the courtroom, fists clenched. "I lied." All eyes turned. "The foal survived the fire. I hid him to protect him from men like you." He flung Cassidy's old halter onto the judge's bench, the leather still scorched. "Her blood's in that horse. So's Jethro's soul." The room buzzed. The judge lifted the halter, studying the nameplate, Cassidy's ember. Thunder Ray stamped, nostrils flaring at Jethro. Flashback, Cassidy doing the same dance, demanding apples after morning rides. Without thinking, Jethro pulled a withered carrot from his pocket, a habit he'd never quit. The stallion lipped it gently, then exhaled, warm breath fogging Jethro's wedding band. The judge's gavel cracked. "This court recognizes intent." She eyed Clifford, and it seems the horse does too. As the crowd dispersed, Jethro knelt beside Thunder Ray, pressing his forehead to the stallion's star-shaped blaze. "You're free," he whispered. But the horse stayed rooted to his side, as if he'd always known where he belonged. Somewhere beyond the parking lot, Clifford's SUV peeled away, trailing exhaust and curses. Yet Jethro barely noticed. The war wasn't over. Ranch hands would talk. Lawyers might appeal. But for now, the dust settled where it mattered, between a broken man and the ghost who'd made him whole. The rusty gate to Cassidy's pasture creaked open, its sound a hymn to the past. Thunder Ray stepped forward, hooves sinking into dew-laden grass, untouched by human hands for decades. Jethro lingered at the fence, watching as the stallion lifted his head, nostrils flaring at the scent of wild sage and memories. Flashback, Cassidy galloping across this same field, mane streaming like wildfire. Thunder Ray broke into a trot, then a gallop, not fleeing, but claiming. Dust billowed in his wake, catching the dawn light like gold. Jethro's breath caught. For the first time in 22 years, the land felt alive. Olden found Jethro at the old training ring, its posts splintered and overgrown. "I don't expect you to trust me," he began, voice rough. Jethro studied the horizon, where Thunder Ray grazed beside a gnarled oak. "You kept him safe," he said finally. "Even if it wasn't for me." Olden handed him a rusted key, the one to Cassidy's old tack room, salvaged from the ashes. "Maybe it's time to rebuild." Rain came at dusk, gentle now, washing the dust from Jethro's boots as he repaired the stable roof. Thunder Ray stood beneath the eaves, calm as the pattering rhythm soaked the earth. Winona arrived with a thermos of coffee, her truck headlights cutting through the twilight. "He's where he belongs," she said, nodding to the stallion. Jethro sipped the coffee, bitter and strong. "We both are." Morning broke clear, the sky scrubbed clean of clouds. Jethro stood at the pasture's edge, Thunder Ray at his side. The stallion nudged his shoulder, Cassidy's old demand for attention. Jethro laughed, the sound foreign yet familiar, and pressed his forehead to the horse's blaze. In the distance, Olden and Winona worked the rebuilt corral, their voices carried away by the wind. Clifford's name had faded from local gossip, replaced by whispers of a stallion who'd outrun greed, and a man who'd rediscovered his soul. The storm had passed. Not just the one that raged in the courtroom or the tempest that once drowned Jethro's heart, but the silent tempest of loss, the kind that lingers in empty barns and unmarked graves. As Thunder Ray grazed beneath a boundless sky, Jethro knew this wasn't an ending. It was a breath held and finally released. Some legacies aren't carried, they rise like dawn after the darkest night, and this one wore the face of a horse who'd turned a funeral pyre into a hearth.